Hello, the one and only Xylophoney here with a super highly requested video showcasing my deck in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Roleplay. Before we get started on that, I would like to let you guys know we are about to hit 100,000 subscribers, so if you still want to get into the 100k Q&A, just tweet your questions at me with hashtag XyloQA, or just tweet them at me and I'll be sure to add them in. So throw all those in and I'll make sure to get them. We got tons of questions, but I'm trying to get exactly 100. But we're here to talk about our Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. Now I'm going to show you guys, I guess I'll show you 3 of them that well 2 that I use in the roleplay, and one that's just a fun one that you guys are going to think is pretty crazy, especially if you're a fan of the Tyranno Infinity. So let's get started talking about my decks for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Roleplay. Now this is pretty much what I've been using in our Season 3. So currently the only fusion monster in here is one that I can't even really prepare by myself, but since I'm doing double duels with Panda, it can work out. It's a Gladiator Beast Gyodaz, which is a fusion, it is a dinosaur, and it's alright. I have the Gladiator Beast Spartacus in my deck just to support Panda as well, even though it's not necessarily a great card for the dinosaur deck. Excluding those 2, everything is pretty much just all about my deck. So let's just start up from the top here. We have the Tyranno Infinity nestled right in there. Now, of course, as monsters exit my graveyard and go out of play, he gets super strong and becomes one of the toughest monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Period. Let's just go up to the strongest monsters here. We have the Ultimate Tyranno, 3,000 attack points, and he attacks everything on the field. I love to use my Super Ancient Dino Beast because he has 2,700, and you only need to sacrifice 1 dinosaur to summon him. Very similar thing about Sauropod Brachion, only sacrifice 1 dinosaur, and you can put him out, uses 3,000 defense, and has really useful effects. Then on top of that we have the Dark Triceratops, which is 2,400 with piercing damage. We have Frostosaurus, which is 2,600, all pretty good damage for 1 sacrifice. And the Stegocyber with 2,400 defense, which isn't necessarily too good for a sacrifice. However, when it has that effect where you can bring it back for 1,000 life points, it definitely can help you out a little bit. Moving past that, we have, let's look at the other guys down here, which we occasionally throw in. The Superconductor Tyranno, which I know a lot of you are a fan of. We have 3,300 attack points on him, and in this particular deck, you know what, I would throw him in just so we have that little bit of extra power. And the Black Tyranno, and his effect could potentially be really good, but it's if your opponent controls no cards except defense position monster cards, it can attack directly, but unfortunately if you have spell and trap cards, that kind of counters its effect anyway, so it's just a 2 sacrifice, nothing special, 2,600 attack point monster. Which I really do like the monster, but compared to some of my other cards, it just doesn't stand up. Let's talk about some of our other guys though. We have the Evil Swarm Salamandra. He can use his effect to get more cards banished, which helps the Tyranno Infinity and boosts his attack. We have the Black Brachios, and when I summon him I can switch an enemy monster to defense mode, which pretty much lets me beat some strong monsters. I have 2 Destroyer Sauruses in here, because they can be used as one just a decent attack monster, or I can use their effect to bring a Jurassic World and boost everybody. I have a Black Velocity, which is cool because I like raptors, and it can get up to 2,200 when it's attacking, single summon. We have 3 Hydrogeddons because I love their effect. It's a weaker dinosaur, but with Jurassic World it gets up to 1,900, normally it's 1,600, and whenever they kill something, I get to bring out another one, and they can attack right away. So I can potentially get 3 attacks in 1 turn. And then we have Hyper Hammerheads, which are a great counter to super powerful cards. If the opponent attacks this card, it gets sent straight back to their hand, or if it's a fusion monster, to their fusion deck, and so on and so forth with all the other special kinds of cards. We have 2 defensive cards, the Black Stego, which pretty much always goes in defense mode when it's attacked, and the Miracle Jurassic Egg, which its effect doesn't really get to be used all that much, but 2,000 defense and potential effect is pretty good. We have 3 Gilosauruses because you can just quickly special summon them, and since I have so many tribute monsters, it can really help me get something out real fast. And of course, the Baby Ceresaurus, just to have a little guy. We have the Little D, as many of you are a fan of, and 2 Sabersaurs just because it's a strong dinosaur. Nothing too complicated in this deck. Obviously, since it's for the roleplay, I don't want to do things too crazy. I don't want to make big chains that complicate things. I want just to have some fun with the cards, and you guys to have some fun too. Then we have Dark, a different dimension capsule, helps me get cards. Heavy Storm, because one of our rules was you could either have like certain cards and no Mirror Force. So this was like in the same bracket as a Mirror Force, and Heavy Storm just seems cooler themed with dinosaurs. 3 Fossil Digs, because that lets me get free dinosaurs. Pot of Greed is just good. Graceful Charity lets me get some more dinosaurs in the graveyard, which can let me remove them from play and charge up Tyranno Infinity. Monster Reborn's always good. Mystical Space Typhoon's always good. Book of Moon, a nice ancient styled book to fit with the theme. Twin Twister also kind of fits with the theme pretty well. The next 3 cards don't fit with the theme that well, but I threw them in a deck to mess with people who use their graveyard a lot. It just sends everything out of play automatically with Dimensional Fissure, and gives me life points with Soul Absorption. Then we have Solidarity, and since I only use dinosaurs, I automatically get 800 attack points for every monster I have when this card is on the field. Megamorph is probably my favorite equip card because it only works when you really need it. And it doubles attack points, which is a lot. New card is Metal Silver Armor. Throw that on Tyranno Infinity and you win the game. But it makes it so you can't use effect or spell cards to take out a monster. Jurassic World boosts all dinosaurs. Trap Hole, you know what that does. Volcanic Eruption lets me, as long as I have Jurassic World on the field, I clear everything off the field. So that's a disaster backup plan. Sakuretsu Armor I won in Battle City. Survival of Fittest is an amazing equip card for dinosaurs. Survival Instinct lets me remove dinosaurs from play, boosting up Tyranno Infinity. Dust Tornado is good. Fossil Excavation is pretty much a not as good Monster Reborn, only for dinosaurs. So it's cool to have. I just don't get the effect when I bring those monsters back. Negate Attack is helpful, and Destruction Jammer. Sometimes I run 2 of those. Just because it's, also fits with the whole dinosaur destruction theme really well, and it can prevent effects from completely tearing my stuff to pieces. Other cards we have is Earthquake, because it fits with the theme and sends everything to defense mode. Tail Swipe, I can send stuff back to my opponent's hand. And Big Evolution Pill, which with this deck I would definitely want. Let's go ahead and save this form of it. Wait, I threw another Solidarity in there. I meant to throw the Big Evolution Pill in there. And yeah, more Solidarity in case I want that. Obviously, I don't really even need Solidarity in a double duel, but that's pretty cool. And I'm sure you guys are asking, what about the Jirac deck? So let's take a look at it. Here is the current version of the Jirac deck, and there's a couple guys down here. I'll just quickly show these. These will be showing up later in this Yu-Gi-Oh! Season. We have the Jirac Meteor, which is destructive, Jirac Giganoto, which is pretty good, and Jirac Velfido. Those fit with this deck extremely well, so we'll get to see those eventually. And then the card Jirac Impact can be another completely destroy everything on the field card, but it's very rarely used. Let's take a look at the monsters. Ultimate Tyranno always fits, Super Ancient Dinobeast, Sauropod, Brachion, always easy to summon. We also have this guy, the Pyrorex, the Elemental Lord, recently added. I can only summon him when there's exactly 5 fire monsters in the graveyard. If I have 6 fire monsters, I can't summon him. But since I can control a lot of stuff with all these fire monsters, it's possible to summon him without needing any tributes whatsoever. So, he's an okay card to have. Then we have Jirac Hera. They have a pretty good effect that if you kill one of my defense position Jirac monsters, which are just about everything, then I can automatically get one of these guys to the field, which can be really good or can just delay things. I have Evil Swarm Salamandra and Destroyosaurus, as you've seen before. Jirac Protops, he gets more attack when the opponent has more monsters, just a decent monster. Jirac Velo, also decent monster, but when you attack him I get to bring out another Jirac Velo, or any Jirac monster really. Jirac Iguanon, I can send cards back to people's hands when he does damage. Jirac Guaiba, he's very similar to the Hydrogeddon. If I attack and kill something, I get to bring him out, but this card can't attack again, so it's not quite as good as Hydrogeddon, but it has an additional 100 attack points. Then, of course, we have a Tyranno Infinity in there. We have a couple Gilosaurus because I really like them. And here's some of my favorite, the Jirac Brachus. When I have a Jirac Brachus and another Jirac monster on the field, you can't destroy the Jirac Brachus. When I have 2 Jirac Brachus on the field, you can't destroy any Jirac Brachus. So it's pretty much an invincible wall unless you use a spell or effect card to get rid of them. We also have the Jirac Terra, which pretty much sends cards back to the opponent's hand or deck, depending on what card it is. Very good, very much like the Hyper Hammerhead. Great defense. The Jirac Galim, which can destroy monsters outright, or they discard a card, so it's not as good, but it's okay. And then the Jirac Aeolo, which pretty much I can play this card and switch it out for any one of these Jirac monsters in my graveyard. We have Different Dimension Capsule, which we've talked about, Heavy Storm, Fossil Dig, all these cards, Tail Swipe, blah blah blah. It's a lot of the same cards. We have Fire King Fire Cycle, which pretty much does the same thing as Direct Aolo. I get to switch out any of my low-level fire monsters for another fire monster, so which is just about everything, so pretty good. I have the Soul Absorption and Fissure in here. I have Solidarity in here, Megamorph, and Molten Destruction instead of 2 Jurassic Worlds, just because they're all fire monsters and it's a very offensive deck. So having an additional 500 attack for all of these guys is a pretty good thing to have. We have a Bottomless Trap Hole in this deck, an additional Survival of the Fittest, and let's see, anything else different? No, that's pretty much all the same stuff. Down here we have, yeah, all the same stuff. Oh yeah, Dino Stomp. It's pretty much a Mystical Space Typhoon that it can only be used when I attack something with a dinosaur. So it's a pretty cool card for the theme. And of course we have the Spartacus chilling here in case we want to throw that in to help out Panda. But now we're going to look at the final deck I have. Well, I have a bunch of decks, and there's one I definitely don't want to show you guys because it's going to be revealed later in the season. So it's a really good deck. But I'm going to show you a funny deck I made. I call the Infinity deck. Now, Tyranno Infinity, for roleplay purposes, we pretend it's a really rare card that I only have one of. But realistically, it can be like fairly easy to get. So I have 3 of them in this deck. Very, very mean. I have some of my other good dinosaur cards. Just some good regular ones. Now let's see. Graceful Charity helps me send dinosaurs to the graveyard. Mirror Force, obviously really good just in this deck because it's not really a fully themed deck. Because normally Mirror Force wouldn't really fit with a dinosaur theme too well. So I decided to leave cards like that out of the deck. Then we have the Soul Absorption combo to get myself some life points every time I get monsters out of my graveyard. I have, what else is really good for this combo? Oh yeah, I have Spiritual Earth Art, which pretty much lets me switch out any earth monster I have, which is most of the dinosaurs in this deck, with a Tyranno Infinity in the graveyard. So it's essentially a monster reborn for my Tyranno Infinity. I have Zin Zen Hu, which means I can activate 2 spell cards or trap cards on the field, and then they can't be activated, so I just make dead slots for the opponent. It's a good card that I kind of liked, but it just doesn't fit with many of my themes that much. And then card Destruction, so I can throw a bunch more dinosaurs into my graveyard and then remove them from play with one of these 3 survival instincts. This is a very mean deck. It is not nice. It makes it so you can get up to 3 Tyranno Infinities with 10,000 attack points easy, because I'm just throwing cards in my graveyard and throwing them out of play. It's fun. So, and if you wanted to, you can even use the Different Dimension Capsule to just banish dinosaurs out of play, and then they'll just be gone until they come back out. So, it's pretty crazy. That's the Infinity deck. Those are my Yu-Gi-Oh decks. There'll be more cards coming soon. I think next episode we're actually going to start to get some fancy cards. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Many of you have asked for it. Once again, if you want to leave a like and throw any questions in for the 1K Q&A. It's 100K Q&A. What am I saying? 100K Q&A. Just tweet those to me on Twitter, and I will add them into the video, which I should be making in the next day or 2. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. And I suppose I will see you next time.